Good evening, everyone. First, I want to thank Henry and Terry and all of the other civic groups for putting this candidate forum together. I believe it's very important to listen to each of the candidates and have the opportunity to ask questions. I know many people in the room, but for those that do not know me, my name is Chrissy Voskerichian, and I am a lifelong resident of Auburndale. I grew up on Utopia Parkway. I moved over to 39th Avenue when I got married, when my first co-op. And after the birth of my second child, I moved over to 171st Street, where I've been for the past 22 years. I am married. I will be celebrating my 29th wedding anniversary coming this November. And I have raised two children, the kids are 26, and Alexa, who is 21. I have spent, I guess, I'll start from the beginning. I began working. My career started at the age of 16. I started working through a high school co-op program for AT&T. My first job was to deliver mail throughout the building. I stayed with them for 31 years, ending my career as the global director of sales and technical operations for Worldwide Sales. I retired in September of 2009 and kind of said, what am I going to do with myself now? What do I really want to do when I grow up? But all kidding aside, I thought about it for a while. I had a lot of different options. And one option that was presented to me was to go to work for the City Council, District 19, Councilman Auburndale. I accepted that position and I began work for the City Council in January of 2010. Now, I know that many people may hold that little black checkmark next to my name, especially with all of the allegations that came out in April. And I'm not even going to attempt to erase the last 3 years of my life, make excuses, say I'm embarrassed, I was deeply disappointed, but I'm also very, very proud of the work that we accomplished in the council office, the people that I worked with, the differences that we made, the experience and the knowledge that I gained by working for the City Council for the last 3 years. So the question of the day is, why am I running for City Council? I'm running for City Council for the betterment of our community. I believe that ego and politics need to be checked at the front door, and I believe our next council member needs to be the first one into the office and the last one out. It should be a full-time job. I am not an attorney, I am not an accountant, I don't have a small business, so my entire time, if I am elected, will be spent serving the people, serving the community. That's what my campaign is focused on, and that's what my life has been dedicated to. In 2005, together with three other women, we founded the Station Road Civic Association. It's a very active civic association that works well with all of our neighboring civics. And in 2009, I was elected to be president of the 109th Precinct Community Council. Again, this is that council that was basically non-performing, and we grew it into one of the most active precinct councils in the city of New York. So I'm very proud of those accomplishments. I think my business experience, my civic experience, my council experience makes me a very, very good candidate for city council because I know I can go into office on day one and be totally operational. That went very quickly. 3 minutes. That's my 3 minutes. Okay. I'm going to jump to some of the questions that have been presented to us from the Auburndale area. The first question is about mayoral control of schools. I do not believe the mayor will control the schools because I don't believe that our children are a business. I've talked to many teachers, I've talked to many parents, I've talked to many children. Everybody seems stifled, frustrated, and stressed out. I think that our option would be to have local school boards. Local school boards that are made up of parents, teachers, and children over the age of 18 that can offer input and that can treat each child and each neighborhood differently because we all hold different. Not every one neighborhood, not every child is the same. This morning on the participatory budget, this morning I signed a pledge that if I were elected, I would continue participatory budgeting for the next 4 years, and I urge the other council members and ask them to sign on to that pledge. And the reason for that is participatory budgeting is good government. It takes government and people and partners them together so that they can work together to make decisions. It's your tax dollars. You should have a say on how your tax dollars are being spent. In the last year, we had 1,170 people come out and vote for projects. People were engaged, people were excited, and I think that they were really good projects. We picked seven won, and I think that there were 7 excellent projects, and I hope that if I am elected, in the next year we grow the number of voters and we double those numbers. The more people involved, the better the decision making. DOD. I'm going to be very brief on DOD because there's probably a lot that can be said, but I'm a problem solver and I look to solve the problems at hand as quickly as possible. One of the things I think we need to do with DOD is we need to end self-certification. And I also believe that we need to have a system in place, and this affects a lot of things. We need to have a system in place that will flag properties that have deed restrictions or variances, so that when plans are submitted to build, okay, those properties pop up, and we have to make sure that their plans are in compliance before permits are issued. Because if that doesn't happen, the burden falls on homeowners associations, such as Broadway Flushing, and it falls on the actual homeowner. There's a lot of costs involved when you take a homeowner to court. There's a lot of costs to the association. Those are all dollars that could be spent more effectively. So self-certification needs to go, and we need to have a system not only with the Department of Buildings, but also with the Department of Finance, so that these properties are flagged and we are aware of what is going on. What do we do about businesses that are bad neighbors? If they're local businesses, the first thing we should do is stop going to them. It's that simple. Hurt the business is where it hurts most, in their pocket. We have to hold businesses accountable, and we have to have them be respectful. We talked about the M1 and whether or not we would want that rezoned. Ladies and gentlemen, the opportunity to rezone the M1 was lost years ago in the rezoning that took place in the area. The chances of having the M1 rezoned in any near future 10 years, 20 years, is next to nil. So what do we do? What do we do with a bad neighbor? Nobody wants a bad neighbor. We have to hold them accountable, and we have our only opportunity in M1 with the automobile service centers is to work with them. Keep them in some kind of compliance, because they'll never be 100% compliant because they can't. They're located like an island in the middle of a residential area. They're businesses by nature, and what they do and the number of cars that are serviced there, they can never be in full compliance. The bottom line is they don't belong. I feel we blew our opportunity, and quite candidly, I don't see that opportunity coming for many, many years or decades to come. Tree burning by Con Ed and underground wires. We should have had underground wiring put in decades ago. We would have saved billions of dollars, and we would have saved a lot of heartache and pain and suffering that our residents went through during the last 2 hurricanes and the tornado. We had people without power for weeks at a time, and the money that it cost us to restore those services could have been very well put into underground wiring. I believe that tree pruning should not be done by anyone without a license, and when tree pruning needs to be done by Con Ed, it should be a joint partnership between Con Ed and the Department of Parks. Do I pledge to appoint more people from Auburndale to the community boards? Right now we have Rose Foreman, who serves on Community Board 7, and Henry Mueller, who serves on Community Board 11. Absolutely. I think that the more people who want to volunteer to be a community board member, we should look at that, and we should apportion those seats to all parts of the community and make sure that we have honest representation for all areas. I also think that community board members should have term limits. You shouldn't serve for 10 years, 15 years. There should be a new ideas and new thoughts, and again, to represent all of the people. Let me see where we are. Okay. Funding. Governor Cuomo has cut funding, and as a result, our not-for-profits and our cultural institutions are suffering. I think that the answer to that is to use council discretionary funds as best that we can to take care of our local youth and senior organizations, to fund our cultural institutions, Flushing Town Hall, Allentown Environmental, Poppington, and many, many others, with as much money as we possibly can. I think that all elected officials have to stick together and have to ask the governor to restore funding. We cannot lose these institutions, and we cannot lose our youth and senior programs. If that is not an option, I think that for our cultural institutions at a minimum, I think that we have to look into some private funding from corporations where they can help pick up some of it. Because we cannot lose, we have to keep them going. They're a big part of our community, they're a part of history, and it would be an absolute shame, and I don't think there's one person in this room that would like to see any of them go. So we have to continue there. Landmarking for Broadway Flushing. I have always supported the Broadway Flushing landmarking because the majority of the residents desire it. It is a stunning, spectacular neighborhood, and everything should be done to preserve it. I will say that I don't think that they can pass where you're not working on it, and you're not working with your elected officials and lobbying for the landmarking, because every single day that passes is a day that lessens your chances of having this accomplished. I think that the next appointment of the chair for landmarking should be someone from the preservation, maybe an outer-borough resident, and someone who has a background in architecture and preservation. Those are the people that understand. So I just fully support it. Noise from the airplane. It's going to take the Army, and kudos go to Janet for putting Quiet Skies together. But I don't think it's a problem that is going to be solved by one person or one group. It's going to take thousands of people who are dedicating themselves to writing to our senators, to writing to our congressmen. It's not a city council issue, it's a federal issue. And I think what might be effective is maybe 10,000 phone calls or letters every month to these elected, to our senators, to our congressmen. We need an army. I'm bothered by the noise every single day. My children are bothered by it. It's a disturbance. It takes away from quality of life. We're going into the summer months, and we should be able to enjoy our backyards and outdoors, and it's not happening. I write a letter. I ask all of you to pledge to write a letter, to make a phone call, to have your family do it, to have your friends do it. I think that power in numbers is what is going to bring results. Real estate taxes. I will never vote for a real estate increase simply because I feel that for middle-income families, the cost of living in our neighborhoods is just becoming unaffordable for too many people. So while I would never vote for a tax increase, I believe with the taxes that we are paying right now, I will fight to maintain and increase city services. We're paying, when I moved into my house, I moved in 1992, I was paying $1,200 in real estate taxes. My taxes are now $6,500 a year. So, I don't believe that, I'll be honest. Do I feel that I can lower our taxes? Absolutely not. I will not make promises that I cannot keep. But I think for the money that we're paying, we deserve the best in services, maybe some increased services, and that's what I would be focused on. Parkland, let me just say flat out, I said this probably a month ago when we were discussing tennis and Major League Soccer. You don't ever give up something that you can never get back. Our parkland is precious. We need to preserve it for ourselves, and we need to preserve it for future generations. That's where I stand on park issues. That's where I always stand. It's just not even up for discussion. I think I might have done it right now. I think I did. So let me just close by saying that I am a public servant. I have dedicated the last 10 years of my life to public service within the community, whether it was with the NYPD, local civics, neighboring civics. That's what I do. I did not create a civic organization. I did not volunteer the last 8 years of my life to the NYPD because I thought that one day I would run for office. I did it because I love my community. I did it because this is the only place I have ever lived. This is where my friends, this is where my family lives. It's worth fighting for. It's worth protecting. I can only promise you that if I am elected, I will fight for you each and every day. I will partner with you, and I will be by your side. I will be an advocate. I will be a friend, and it would be my hope that if I am elected, that I don't work alone, but instead that we all work together. So I thank you very much for your time. I'm happy to give out my cell phone number. If anybody has any questions, please give me a call. Thank you.
Chrissy, we have a few questions here.
Okay.
First question, as our council person, what can you do to enforce or change the law regarding trucks, cars, and vans taking our street parking spaces? For example, Rich King, Star Toyota, Paul Patron, and the ambulance situation.
Truck traffic. It's an enforcement issue. We've had in the city council over the last 3 years, I would say we work on 8,000 constituent cases. The majority of them were truck traffic. As you know, the Department of Transportation will not issue any negative signage on any street. So it is impossible to get a no truck sign put up. I think what we have to do is local enforcement by the police department. Unfortunately, the police department and traffic, they're overwhelmed. I mean, I worked hand in hand with the NYPD for the last 6 years. Everything is the NYPD's issue. Every problem is there to solve. So in all honesty, I think heavily congested or heavily abused roads and streets with truck traffic, it needs to be reported. We will follow up on it, and we have to ask the NYPD to please monitor those streets for compliance. It's a very, very tough issue. As far as parking from the automobile dealerships, I know that there was a law, there was some legislation, I don't think it ever passed, and it stated that if you were an automobile service center or sale, you could not take customers' cars or cars that were being used cars for sale or new cars and stuff and put them onto the public street. Those would have to be sent to a lot. So I would look to remake that legislation and have it passed as a bill that would make it illegal to free up our streets.
Thank you. The next question is the one that we've been asking all night. Where are your campaign contributions coming from?
Okay, I'm going to ask the question, Henry. So I declared my candidacy on May 1st, and my first filing period was on May 11th. 11 days I had to fundraise. I will be the first to admit that I am probably behind all the other candidates on fundraising because I came in so late. My first filing showed $11,060 in 11 days, and I'm very, very proud to say that those contributions came from the residents of the district and a little bit out of Manhattan, which was some relatives, and I believe it was one campaign contribution of $500 came from my former boss, Steve Chapolinaro, from the U.S. So whether they were, I want everyone to know whether it was a $10 contribution, a $20 contribution, they all added up. I'm very, very grateful for it. And as my fundraising continues, I will be zero will come from lobbyists or developers or real estate. It's all going to come from the people who believe in Michigan and stand behind